All eyes ahead for 2019. We're here to report on the future of the Dallas Cowboys. We move forward with new coaches. We break down the draft, fine-tune the roster, and ask who's getting paid and who's got to wait. And as usual, we bring you insider access to OTAs and minicamps, priming you for 2019. We're the Blitz, and we're bringing it all to you, straight from the Star.
It's time for the Blitz, your official Dallas Cowboys report. I'm Lindsay Draper. This is Bill Jones, and what a week it was here at the Star. We're going to talk about all of it, get into the draft a little bit later. But, Bill, the Cowboys really looked at their own roster and got some big things happening this week.
That's right. On this Final Four weekend, as we get down to a Final Two on Monday night, Cowboys starting to figure out who's going to be on that front four for that Cowboys team. And, of course, one of the big things that they did this offseason, we saw him here at the Star earlier this week, Robert Quinn, and they wanted to pair Robert Quinn alongside DeMarcus Lawrence. It now looks like it's all going to come to fruition just as they planned, and it should be very exciting for this Dallas defense going forward.
Robert Quinn getting here at the Star on Monday morning, got a chance to catch up with him, and he was very bright-eyed as he took in the new digs. Robert Quinn, welcome to the Dallas Cowboys. Just signed. What's your first impressions of everything and just kind of taking it all in?
That statement everyone says everything is bigger in Texas is pretty much living up to its motto. So it's definitely a great facility. From players, coaches, everyone been welcoming from day one. So it's a great family atmosphere. So excited to get started.
Have you talked to any of the guys you'll be playing with, or Rod Marinelli?
I've talked to a few. One, I happened to bump into one of a great friend, Tavon Austin. Talked to him a little bit this morning. Tyron Smith. Just some of the guys that I bumped into this morning. Coach Marinelli. Talked to him a good little bit. And I know him, from coming out of college, so I got a little relationship with him. But now I get to finally work with him, so it's going to be interesting to see where this goes and what we can make out of it.
And it was important to you to play on a one-year deal and to do it here with the Cowboys. Defensive line, kind of some question marks here at the Star. What's your mindset coming in, and just the type of year you want to have and how you can contribute?
Well, I'm just trying to come in, be as positive as possible, make as many plays as possible. We all got standards as players and individuals. I always like to keep my goals to myself for personal reasons, but as an older guy, try to give what knowledge I do have to the younger guys to help them become better players. Not only players, but better people, and because I think that's a huge part. So, and again, I'm not going to try to do something over and beyond something that they don't need me to do. I just need to do my job, as they say, and sack the quarterback, tackles for losses, and play football.
And moving around through the league in your journey, are you excited to kind of get back in that 4-3 scheme?
I'm definitely excited. With Coach Marinelli, the way he talks and preaches D-line. I think any D-lineman would be excited to play here. So I know we're still a little ways out from the actual football season, but like I said, I have a lot of reasons to be excited, right now. So I'm definitely excited to get started.
Cowboys fans know you will fit right in. Welcome to Dallas. Glad to have you here.
All right, thanks for having me.
So huge, getting Robert Quinn in here, and I love what they gave up was just a 6th-round draft pick. They got him at a reasonable salary. Now you pair him with DeMarcus Lawrence, and going forward, it's very exciting for this Cowboys defensive line when you look at what they have now with Quinn and Lawrence, and then of course you got Taco Charlton, a former 1st-round draft pick. You got Tyrone Crawford playing outside. You got Dorrance Armstrong, 4th-round pick from last year. Things are pretty much set now as they solidify things at the defensive end position.
Wasn't the only special thing happening around the Cowboys. Rob Phillips followed Jason Witten down to Waco, Texas to be inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame earlier this week.
Jason Witten will be back with the Dallas Cowboys on the field this season, but before that, he's getting a major in-state honor. We're here in Waco, Texas for Witten's induction into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. It's a celebration of all his accomplishments to date, with obviously much more coming in 2019.
I just think more than anything, I have so much respect for Texas sports as a whole, not only the people that are on the stage, but the great athletes. I don't know that any other state can compete like this level does in this state. When you play football in the state of Texas, whether it's collegiately or professionally, there's a standard that you must uphold. Look, there's something inside you, there's a fire, and for me, that fire was just too strong. And you know, I said it when I retired a year ago, I don't know that anybody really knows when it's their time to go, and I was no different. And you know, look, I had a great experience in the booth, but at the same time, I saw the Cowboys team start to come together. I think more than anything else, it was just something was tugging on me inside me to say that you know, maybe there's something still inside left to go out there and go after that championship. I think any competitor would say before you make a decision to come back, you also don't want to be a shell of yourself on the performance side. And that was the first thing that I had to find out on my own. I would be foolish to take the approach of coming back that you're going to do the same things that you did prior, you know. And I think the most important thing that I wanted to do is make sure that I could come back and play at the level I expected.
All right, we're taking a quick break from the studio, but Rob Phillips, what do you say you come on back to the show, buddy? We got some things to talk about here, upcoming next.
Got his game face on.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And by Dallas Cowboys Football Club. For the ultimate Dallas Cowboys experience, tour the Star in Frisco, where the Cowboys train and work. For more information, visit thestarinfrisco.com/tours. This segment is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing.
The Cowboys and Robert Quinn came together and said, hey, let's make this thing happen.
All the Cowboys are giving up is a 6th-round pick.
It's just proof of the point that you can be aggressive without giving away the bank.
When you watch this guy play, you have to account for him.
Cowboys on the good end of this deal, Bill Jones. Robert Quinn was all business when I talked to him on Monday. I mean, there was no joking around, no Hot Boys talk, none of that.
And he still has something to prove in his career, and he's had a very nice career so far. In fact, had 19 sacks one season. Let's bring in Rob Phillips, though, from the writers' bullpen here at the Star. And Rob, I want to kick things off this week by talking to you about the curious case of one Randy Gregory, as the Cowboys make news earlier in the week by extending his contract by a year. What do you make of that?
Well, Bill, throughout the week, the deal wasn't officially announced by the Cowboys or the NFL, but one thing is clear. The Cowboys want to support Randy Gregory through this process. You know, Jason Garrett made an interesting comment at the owners' meetings in Phoenix when he said, you know, sometimes relapse is part of rehab. They feel like he's doing what he can counseling-wise, things to try to treat the substance abuse issues that he's had, and it's not a clear case of a guy that's just violated NFL policies and can't stop. They feel like it's a medical issue, and it's something that may not get resolved in his special case, honestly, until, you know, the next CBA is done after the 2020 season. We'll just have to see how it works. But right now, I think the Cowboys have to feel like there's a little bit of optimism he could be back on the field this season, but they also have to, you know, have contingencies and know that there's a possibility, at least at this point, that he's not with them this season, certainly for the start of the season. So that's why Robert Quinn is here. That's another veteran guy they can bring in and help this pass rush.
And when it comes to Robert Quinn, Rob, what is your realistic expectation for what he can come in and do on a one-year deal?
I think he can be very productive on the right side, the opposite side of DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, this is a legit pass rusher that's in his prime, that's been proven, and he's an interesting add for the Cowboys. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Amari Cooper, Lindsey, because he's a talented guy that normally may not be available via trade. But circumstances dictate that. You know, he wasn't a scheme fit. It turned out to be in Miami or LA because of what they tried to do defensively. And this is a good fit for him in Dallas. And I know he's got to be motivated to come here and try to win ball games because he's only been in the playoffs once in his career. He's got to look at this opportunity and say, I've got some pieces around me where we can win some games.
All right, Rob Phillips, we appreciate you joining us from the bullpen. And Lindsey, when you look at this defensive line, not only at the end positions, when you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Robert Quinn, but also the versatility of the guys. Kerry Hyder, who they signed, who had 8 sacks before he had the Achilles injury in Detroit. Christian Covington from the Texans. I think Rod Marinelli has to like what he has there.
We are in a great spot with the defensive line. What about the draft, though? We got Brian Broaddus and David Hellman joining us to talk safeties next.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. This segment is brought to you by Formation. Work the Cowboys way at the Star in Frisco. Formation offers workspaces, dedicated desks, and private offices. For more information, visit formationatthestar.com.
We're back here on the Blitz. We are 2.5 weeks away from the NFL draft. What do you say we bring some expert analysis to the show?
That's exactly what we're going to do right now. Yes, Brian Broaddus and David Hellman, as there has been a parade of NFL draft prospects coming through the Star this past week, gentlemen.
Yeah, Brian, it's been a fun week to be at the Star, right? Like you're eating lunch, you're walking around the halls, and half of the best prospects in this NFL draft class are just kind of walking around checking the facility out.
Yeah, you know, that's really the great thing about this time of year is when you can do the 30 visits and kind of see. It's an opportunity for these coaches, the front office, to get to know these kids a little bit better. And, you know, we get to spend a little time with them, too.
Right. So if you're unfamiliar, each NFL team gets to bring in 30 players that they're interested in. Kind of an interview. You come in, talk to them, maybe put them on the whiteboard and ask them about football, get to know their character. And the Cowboys put a heavy emphasis on this thing. You know, 5 of their last 6 first-round picks have been 30 visitors. Obviously, they don't have a first-round pick this year. So I'm kind of interested to see, you know, there's been a heavy emphasis on safeties in this year's visits. There's been some wide receivers. There's been some defensive linemen. I'm interested to see how not having the first-round pick changes that up.
Well, you have to throw a wide net.
Yeah.
That's going to be the whole idea now, is to throw that wide net out there. And you really have to let the board come to you in that kind of a relationship.
So, I mean, I mentioned it, you know, safety is the one that stands out to me. We know this team needs a safety. You got some of the best ones in this year's class are here. Jonathan Abram out of Mississippi State, Taylor Rapp. We kind of feel like maybe those are pipe dreams for the Cowboys picking all the way at 58.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's kind of where you have to look at right now. Those are maybe some small move-ups. You know, the Cowboys being at 58, you're probably going to have to go into the 40s, maybe 45 or earlier to maybe grab one of those guys.
Juan Thornhill do anything for you?
That's a guy that's
Virginia
probably
safety, a guy maybe that fits more in their range.
Exactly. That's a guy that probably a little bit better of a cover guy right there for you. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on these safeties. Defensive tackles is another area they're looking at.
That's a good point. And you know, we don't need to get into the DeMarcus Lawrence thing right now, but that is something that's going to influence this. Is as of right now, your best pass rusher is not technically on this roster. They did bring in some pass rushers in this year's visits. I'll be interested to see how they address that, or maybe how those contract negotiations influence what they wind up doing.
Yeah, they're not looking at those. Like you say, they kind of have an idea with Quinn, and they have to feel like that they're going to get Lawrence done, because it's
I would hope
now
so.
Now it's about Gerald Willis and guys like that.
Yeah.
You know, those defensive tackles, maybe under tackles or the 3 techniques more so than the 1 technique guys.
I love to put you on the spot, so that's what I'm going to do right now. Friday night, we'll be in the studio live streaming the draft. You don't have to give me a name, but what position do they go?
You know what? I think keep an eye on. This is going to sound crazy. Keep an eye on cornerback, because it might be
sneaky.
Yeah, a sneaky need. But the cornerback might be the spot where the best value is for this team, and maybe some of these other positions might stretch for them a little bit. Defensive line will always be a possibility, but keep an eye on a cornerback.
Like I say, I follow the 30 visits. The Cowboys brought in 6 safeties this week.
Right.
They know they need one. I'm looking at that. If I was betting on it, I think they find a way to draft one on Friday night. But we will see. The draft is coming up. Thanks for having us, guys.
All right, Dave Hellman and Brian Broaddus not only had the 30 national prospects coming in this past week, but also Dallas Day on Friday, and they have found some late round. Well, Connor Williams was a visitor on Dallas Day last year in the 2nd round.
I've always loved the concept, and we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have more draft talk as Danny Sarek introduces us to a new prospect who could end up as a Dallas Cowboy.
This segment was brought to you by Formation. Work the Cowboys way at the Star in Frisco. Formation offers workspaces, dedicated desks, and private offices. For more information, visit formationatthestar.com.
With scouting reports on more than 170 players, a total of 550 players listed, nothing prepares you more for what the Cowboys will do on draft day than the official 2019 Dallas Cowboys draft preview. Find out what the Cowboys have and need at each position, as well as who we think the team will pick in each round. A must-have for any Cowboys fan. Get yours today for only $4.95 exclusively at shop.dallascowboys.com or by calling 1-877-NFC-BOYS. And yes, we have our own copy of the
I keep this
Cowboys
with me
Star draft
non-stop until the draft. It's great stuff.
There you go, and keep it through the draft as well, and even after the draft as well. And how about some more talk about the draft right now? Let's bring in Danny Sarek taking a look at one of those draft prospects from TCU.
The Mundy, Texas native defensive end LJ Collier knew that having a standout senior year at TCU was important if he wanted to continue playing football after college. A standout senior year is exactly what Collier had. He finished the 2018 season with 42 tackles, 11.5 were tackles for loss, and 6 sacks. Collier says the reason it was important to have a standout year is because sometimes all it takes is one great season to make your presence known.
It only takes a season to get your name out there, and that's what I tried to do, you know. Play my hardest every day, show teams what I'm capable of, and I did that. I played hard every game, and I ran through guys, and people took notice of that.
Collier credits his success to the practices and mindset he learned from his time at TCU.
We always coached up, man. We were always, the thing they coached us the best was to, you know, always be prepared, do your job, do your 111, come out here and do what's asked of you. And that's why I'm trying to take that same approach here, read my playbook, knowing what I got to do before it's, you know, before guys have to tell me everything like that. You know, people love Texas football, you know. We're very competitive out there. You know, I'm from a small town. We love football where I come from.
In the Senior Bowl game, Collier recorded 2 of the overall 5 sacks. Collier's sacks combined a total loss of 18 yards. He played for Raiders head coach John Gruden on the North team, and Collier says he worked hard during that week in front of the NFL teams.
That's an experience, man. I'm buying into all the coaching. I'm trying to do everything that's asked of me, trying to buy into the system, learn everything quick and fast, man. I like it a lot, man. It's fun. John's a great guy.
With the NFL draft approaching, Collier and his family, specifically his dad, are thinking about Collier's future and the possibility of playing for his hometown team, the Dallas Cowboys.
He'd lose it. You know, he'd be, man, I can't believe my boy's a Cowboy. And I was kind of the neutral. I liked whoever was winning at the time, really. And I kind of just waited for the Super Bowl and stuff like that. But my dad's a hell of a Cowboys fan. He really is.
Collier says he isn't letting up on his training leading up to the draft.
I'm a type of player that thinks there's always room to grow. You know, no matter where you, if the day you think you've gotten too good, you don't need to play the game anymore. And I'm trying to get as good as I can while I still have my cleats and while they still allow me to play the game. I'm gonna bring a hell of a pass rush. You know, I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna try to motivate my teammates by leading by an example and buying in. You know, I watch, you know, just like DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm gonna try to watch those guys, see how they do it, and try to learn from them.
DeMarcus Lawrence isn't the only Cowboys defensive end that caught Collier's eye. He says he also enjoyed watching Randy Gregory play, who finished the 2018 season with 6 sacks, the second most on the team, only to DeMarcus Lawrence, who finished with 10.5. Bill, Lindsay.
Monday mogul LJ Collier, Monday, Texas. It's so small they don't have enough enrollment to field a 6-man football team now, under 80 in their.
I went there when I worked in Abilene. I went covered up there on Monday. Good times. Small town Texas. We got some key dates for you guys. Get your planners out. That is next on the Blitz.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And by Dallas Cowboys Football Club. For the ultimate Dallas Cowboys experience, tour the Star in Frisco, where the Cowboys train and work. For more information, visit thestarinfrisco.com/tours.
We are so excited to host Kaboo, Texas, May 10th through the 12th. This is our first ever music, comedy, and art festival, a 3-day-long event that will blend all of the 5 senses, have a wonderful entertainment, even a Basque pool, Vegas style, right out on the plaza, complete with humor me entertainers, as well as great culinary experiences from some of the greatest chefs here in North Texas.
In just about a week, Bill, players will be back here officially to kick off the offseason program.
That's exactly right. On April 15th, 10 days later, it's the NFL draft. And right after that, in the month of May on into early June, we've got OTAs culminating in the mandatory mini camp later in the month of June. And I just can't wait for DeMarcus Lawrence to be out there in OTAs in the mandatory
You needed that. Like, that was the number one offseason priority. Bill Jones, Lindsay Draper. Next week, we're a week closer to the NFL draft. We can't wait. We'll see you for a brand new episode of The Blitz.